if you guys are ready, we're going to be making a video here on this. As you guys have already kind of seen and heard, balance patch is coming out. So I did bring in an expert here. His name is Makeitabud. You guys are very familiar with him, and we're gonna be kind of going over the balance patch, right? Giving you guys our thoughts as well as what is important and what might be interesting to you.
First unit is Eludia, right? Light Phoenix, and what happens is they've actually decreased the damage on the third skill, but they've made it so that you don't have a conditional where you need buffs to be on the unit in order for it to apply a defense break. In the past, you needed it to have a buff. And what happens with this skill is like you'll apply the defense debuff first, and then your damage comes in. So if they had debuffs, this would be a ton of damage if you landed, and if they didn't, you wouldn't really do much. I think this is pretty nice, and I made a comment of like maybe this would be enough for it. But when you think about in this meta, there's so many like Beast Riders that have come out and choose.
Right.
I don't see myself using it. The only way it would be used is if this in speed tuning wise goes over my Hathor, over my Shiho, so that I can open up for them. But then that begs the question of why don't I use Gemini, right? Right. And the difference between the two monsters is that with Gemini, I'm fighting at a much higher speed register. I'm fighting the 330s, 340 comps post speed lead. Mm-hmm. But with Eludia, I'm going for damage. That skill 2 stun matters. So time will tell, but it's super rune intensive.
Right, it's because the base speed of the Light Phoenix is pretty low, right? So it's kind of hard.
94, dude.
Right, so and like, you want this guy to be one of the first-ish, right, in the lineup. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But I mean, it's a nice change to the Phoenix, right? So players who do have it can use it, and there's gonna be a lot more feasible and actual usable areas of PvP, right? Whether it's Guild Wars or Arena, right, or even potentially some fun in RTA. But it'll be tough, like you said, to really use it practically.
Yeah, I mean, you can also decide to tune it at a lower speed range and just put it in front of Sierras or your monkeys or whatever it is, and make it tankier. But it's also got pretty low survivability stats. So it's going to be a tricky one to use from that standpoint, but I can't complain. My unit got buffed. I will probably try it at the 290 range if I can make it that fast, and if I feel like styling on my opponent.
True.
Style opponent.
Okay, so nonetheless, one of your LDNAT files got buffed. Very nice, Light Phoenix. Not bad, right? Not super crazy, but it's a nice change, right? It's definitely a buff. Let's move on to the Dark Phoenix here. So skill change, it changes to leave a branding effect for 2 turns instead of 3, and weakens defense for 2 turns with a 50% chance when you attack an enemy. When you defeat an enemy during your turn, the enemy can't be revived during the battle. Okay, so this is the passive, right? Yeah. So they changed it from 3 turns to 2 turn branding, and they made it so you defense break as well. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, okay. It's known to do a lot of damage and known to leave branding, but I mean, you still can't use it for RTA. I mean, its base speed is 94. Its leader skills for dungeons. I mean, it's more. I would say this is more of a middle finger to Jar users. Like, hey, we buffed you, so now we're never buffing you again.
All right. Looks like they buffed a lot of Phoenixes here. There's another Phoenix here, Teshar. So this is one a lot of people have talked about. Let's see, skill change to a passive skill, right? Before attacks all enemies with a violent storm becomes instantly. Okay, so this is the Tempest. This is the S3, right? The AoE. Increases attack bar by 20% per defeated enemy.
Whenever you defeat an enemy, basically this guarantees that you AoE. So this is pretty OP. Like I think I'm going to actually skill it up and try it in PvE. But the question is like, I don't know how much damage it does. If it can clear waves, that's what I'll use it. If it can't clear waves, then I can't use it. For people that are like new and still trying to just climb higher in the giants and stuff, this will add a lot of damage, right? Whether or not it actually clears the waves for you, that's a big question. And for speed teams, might not be usable. But definitely if you're trying to progress, I think this is a huge buff because, I mean, it fixes AI, right? Quote unquote fixes AI because you AoE every time. Yeah, because the cooldown of that skill resets every time an enemy dies. So
I thought it always reset if an enemy died. Is it? So it's changed to a passive now. Then is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So it fixes AI from that standpoint.
We got Lightning Emperor Geldnir. What are your thoughts on this buff? So basically, it says it used to have stacks, and every time you would get hit, it would heal for the damage received. Now it changed so that it heals for the amount of HP, by a percentage of the HP's, the target unit's HP. How big do you think this is? Yeah, will this be the biggest healer or the next big thing?
So it used to be crap, right? Utter garbage, and now it's just garbage. How about
But
that? It went from Z tier to like G tier. It's still
wait a
crap
minute.
because like it's a huge buff. Like in the past, right? If your ally gets healed by percent of the damage it's being dealt, it's still like technically taking more damage. So your Geldnir is just sitting there wasting a monster slot, right? Now you're
Right.
actually likely gonna overheal the damage that you're dealt. This I could see fringe use into like Amelia comps, or like if there's some way to have a good amount of cleansing, maybe even a weird vigor comp that doesn't do a lot of damage. So you're getting a lot of stacks and you're preventing damage, and your opponent doesn't hit a lot per unit hit. You're gonna have to bring it into comps that don't do a lot of burst. But like it begs the question of like, okay, I was originally excited until I realized that you're still consuming knowledge, right? So like every time you heal, you consume knowledge. So it's a 20% heal most of the time. You're rarely gonna have 5 stacks. Molly already heals by 20%, right? So the
Right.
Molly gives you a passive. The passive that gives you a chance to glance, it gives you a bubble. This doesn't bubble, but it does steal a buff. But this is not like, yeah, it's not game breaking. It's still G tier. It's G tier, not Z tier. Basically, I think.
Right. The only thing is that it will kind of make it so it's really hard to kill something. You know what I mean? Like, because no matter how much damage that your opponent did to you, right, you're just gonna heal by 20% every time. So it can kind of be annoying. Think of it as like because Molly, you said heals for 25, right? But only on its turn. This is like this is every time you get hit. So it's more specific, right? Because sometimes you want your
Yep.
unit to get healed, but your Molly didn't take a turn yet. This one, it will heal every time you get hit. So
But stacks take a while to get. Sometimes your opponent oftentimes controls your stacks, right? This in Bulwark, right? Opponents tend to control your stacks. Whenever
Right.
you get your own stacks, it takes a lot. It's really hard to get buffs, right? All I need to do is bring an Oki, and all your stacks are gone. Bring an AoE unit, all your stacks are gone, right? So
Oh
yeah, I
yeah,
see it
because
as
no matter what you do, you bust his load, right?
it blows its load,
Basically.
exactly.
So I guess
Yeah.
it would. I guess I don't want to fully like just brush it off. I think the unit actually might be okay, but again, more niche situations. I feel, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, the other thing is like its leader skill is Guild War 33 speed, right? So having done a little bit of Guild Wars myself at this point now, I could see like Geldnir Vigor comps being a thing. Maybe,
Right.
right? Maybe. But that's about it. Otherwise, you still waiting for the next buff, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think the next thing that they could do that makes it crazier, if they mix in some way somehow like a cleanse. That might be a little bit
Yeah.
a little bit kind of
Like,
crazier.
like as it burns its knowledge stack, it cleanses the unit and rids it of all debuffs. Sure,
Right.
now we're talking, right? Now we're talking.
Right.
This, I mean, yeah, no, I'm 20% healing, not really huge. Like, and it doesn't manipulate the flow of the game in terms of cleansing, right? It just heals HP. I can choose to outspeed it. I can control it. I can, take a lot of attack bar turns. There's just so many weaknesses that this monster presents.
Right.
Right now, if you think about the meta, a lot of it is: do you have immunity? Do you outspeed? Can you control? Do you do damage? This unit doesn't really answer any of them ways to win. It
True.
sits there, looks pretty, still terrible.
Because I was thinking that it might be good against like people that try to like cleave you like Daphnises and stuff, but we already have Water Druid that kind of does that job pretty damn well. You know what I mean? In that field, you know what I mean? I kind of put it into that category of units. So yeah.
For sure.
And he doesn't do anything. He just sits there, right? He's not going to do damage. He's not going to do anything insane. Maybe a strip, but that's it. So he's pretty.
He would need to be, at the very least, be a CD build in RTA, like a strong CD build. And I've seen a Bulwark on CD build before, and those are surprisingly pretty heavy in damage. But yeah, no. Still, again, doesn't manipulate the major factors that determine win or loss in the match. So.
Right. But we'll see, right? Of course, out of all these different buffs and nerfs that me and Makeitabud here talk about, keep in mind, we don't know until actual implications come down. There may be some crazy combos in actual play that may be discovered, right? Or interactions that are not, seen here on paper. So we'll see. Vampire Dark, right? So Cadiz, they made it so now his bats now have a higher chance to strip. I think that makes him even stronger, right? I know that there were some people in the ladder that do use Cadiz from time to time as a stripper, so this just makes that a little bit stronger, right? So not bad.
Yeah,
Nothing too
kind of.
horrible.
Again, low base speed, it kind of just sits there. There's so many weaknesses to this unit.
Yep.
It doesn't change very much.
And then
But
the passive absorbing a little bit more attack gauge, so it makes it a little bit more feasible but for the slot that it's in, it's trying to fill a slot that already, especially for RTA, is easily filled by other units. But this can make it a better Guild Wars unit if you guys are using it there, and if you just love your Dark Vamp and you're enjoying it in RTA already, it'll just do the job that you were having it do a little bit better. All right, moving on to the next unit here, Hell Lady Dark. This is a unit that we discussed needed a buff for a long time. All the other Hell Ladies got a buff. It's finally Kraka's turn, right? So instead of reviving just one ally and making all its skills usable and giving it invincibility, it now revives all dead allies, all, like Elad, right? With 30% HP. All skills are available for all allies. In addition, makes the revived allies invincible. The cooldown time of this skill is increased by 1 per revived ally. So it's basically AoE now, with the downside that you get 1 more extra turn of cooldown per revived ally, so it doesn't come up as fast. At first glance, it sounds pretty good.
It sounds decent. Like, the cooldown time of 7 or 6 is not really a big difference. Like, that to me is negligible because it's still a really long time. Well, I would say, like, it still gets... I don't know if it's a cleave counter per se, because you can still die. If it's a cleave counter, you would need to be like 50k HP or something. I do think the builds for this would probably be super tanky. Additional damage on the right side and left side, probably some sort of damage reduction. But I generally, as a player, don't like revive mechanics very much. I very much, if you'll notice in my commentating and stuff, I like aggression. I like speed play. I like being able to control units with speed. So this unit to me still feels like one that just sits there, does not affect the aspect of control or speed, and it can be raced around, but it is really nice in the fact that skill 2 is AoE and provides defense breaks, right? So Despair is probably the build, but I don't know. This is where it's like, it's a huge buff, but it originally really sucked. So I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good though. Just for the fact that, I mean, I'm thinking of like how you could combine it with other units, right? You combine it with Ganny. Anything with Ganny is great, but Ganny being able to have this up all the time is crazy. Hard to kill. I mean, I think it might pair up with great teams that consist of, like, if you have Dark Demon, I don't know, even simple things like Vanessa and Tyrannies. By having the unit come up and guaranteed have all their skills, that's actually kind of insane. Yeah. Because it makes it innately really tough to deal with the teams now, because you have to figure out what you focus on first. Because if you kill, the Kraka, then the Vanessa revives it, and if you don't kill it again fast enough, it revives the Vanessa and whatnot, or just resets or ventilates and whatnot, so it gets kind of crazy, right? And it has that aggression with the S2 Shatter, so I think it's interesting, but like you said, in this kind of day and age and meta, it doesn't do enough, because it's kind of a more passive, slower comp that you're going to be using it with, right?
It could be. It also, however, in this meta, there's a lot of like no immunity going on with like mollies, vigors, things like that. So in those comps, this is a pretty good unit, pretty good pick.
This definitely has to be a unit that you're gonna have to be fourth, fifth pick though, just to ensure that your draft is already strong enough to deal with, let's say, if your opponents are running Hathors or CC units, as well as if your opponent's kind of running immunity, because your unit kind of is semi-dead if your opponent's running immunity, right? Because you want value out of your Shatter. You want something kind of scary,
Yeah, the tough part is too, though, is that the units you mentioned, like Vanessa, Trianas, and things like that, they're not units I would like to first, second pick either, right? Tyrannies, I don't want to early pick those units. So you're kind of stuck in a weird spot in terms of pick order in a draft. If you take those, you're committed too far down to like a stationary route potentially. So in terms of where it slots in the draft, is it the last 2 picks? Is it the very last pick? Is it the middle picks? Really tough to figure out on this unit. So I think it's more of like, if my opponent refuses to run immunity, we're talking. We'll talk.
Right. All right. Moving on to the next Hell Lady here. Ethna. I don't know why in hell they keep buffing this damn unit, but they keep buffing this damn unit every patch. Right. Last patch they buffed her. The previous patch they buffed her. Now they buffed her again. She's already a super high base unit that's already known to wreak havoc with Shatter and be a great first turn stripper. Now, on top of being able to strip and stun and defense break, her third skill also is not only going to strip but steal the buffs as well. What do you think about
I
her?
like this one. I like this one, dude. So Ethna has been on my list of units to ruin anyways, because with the artifacts, right,
Additional
skill 3, skill
damage.
2, additional damage is broken, right? As
Gross.
we've seen, right? So
Yeah.
this is going to be gross as hell. The build should be. I'm going to try Violent, I think, and it's going to have to go over Hathor, the Hathor block of units, Hathor Gani, right? So you strip and open up a hole for them. But
Well,
the
that's
additional
easy.
damage
That's
makes it
super easy with 119 base speed, dude. That's so easy to make her go first.
Exactly. Like, why couldn't they give Kraka the base speed too? Like, even with the base speed, I would take the Ethna over the Kraka, right? Because skill 3 does a lot of damage and stuns, but now on top of that, I'm stealing the buff. So if my opponent brings an Ileana or a Rusa or a Vela or a Fran, I can steal the buff, and then on Violent, just like skill 2, and then on skill 1, if I proc, I immediately steal another. Like, really hard unit to kill. Like, this pretty good unit. I'm gonna actually dedicate some runes in this one.
Yeah, this will be like that win unit you draft in when you need it. You know, it'll definitely be in slot for sure. She's always been great, so now, of course, I think she's gonna be insane. Like you said, additional artifacts just make her nuts.
I mean, if you think about it, like if you bring it into like a Hathor and stuff, you can even strip off immunity and not be afraid of Hathor on the backswing when Hathor takes its turn. Little interactions like that matter and kind of weaken a unit like that.
Right, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the lower the HP of the target, the higher your chance of stunning, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And now with additional damage, it's going to help furthermore even help you to get it to a higher probability of not only stripping, but also disabling that unit and stunning it as well. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get it. I don't think you're gonna get it down to 40%, right? Because 40% is guaranteed stun before resist check, but you can get it pretty close. So
well, yeah, and I also think this build, I personally lean less toward a damage build like CD. I prefer more toward the crit rate higher tank build, just because I mean with this turn cycling, the whole point is not to burst something down, but it's to just wear your opponent down by taking turns and defense breaking and CCing or skill 3 stripping and all that. So 40% tough, but man, this unit's OP.
Yeah, really nice. All right, next unit here. This is a unit that I know you actually tried to build and messed around with and got some pretty good results due to, again, additional damage artifacts. Another Oracle, Praha. Now, she sleeps with 100% chance. She previously slept everybody, but at a 50% chance, right? When she used her S3, slept herself, and healed the team. But now it's 100% sleep on everybody before resistance check, obviously. What do you think?
I mean, I already thought it was pretty good. Like it was pretty good originally. Yeah. Like the autos were doing 2K a hit. And I put it on Swift above my Hathor and Shiho, so I would strip the team, and then my Shiho and stuff would go, and we basically hit the auto button, and we're winning the game already. It's a pretty good unit. The fact that the sleep is better means that its skills are now better.
Right.
It actually incentivizes me to think about Violent more because I want to proc to get those skills more.
Right.
So if I turn it Violent, I would need to move it in front of Monkeys and Ciara, and less so in front of Hathor, which is fair too. Just changes the way it's used.
Right, but I mean, but that's for you though. Majority of players can actually rune this to be faster than Hathor's because it's just because you're picking your Hathor's a certain speed, right? But majority of players, like for me, I could easily pick this over my Hathor. You know what I mean? Because of the speeds I'm running at. It's just your speed's not feasible, so I don't know if that's fair to say. Everybody's not going to be able to peg it, right?
True, but I would ask those that are ruining their comps, if your Hathor is, let's say, 250 and you're able to make a 260 Bael Praha, shouldn't you speed up your Hathor? That's the question I would ask them.
That's true as well, but if you don't have that first turn tripper, then, I mean, that's why you would have it, right? So that you could actually set up for Hathor more often.
It's about the comp. If you literally have no first turn stripper, absolutely. But there's so many, there's Gemini, right? There's so many out there, so...
The great thing about her as well is that the sleep, unlike Tableau and like Vivichel, it can go it can be prevented by immunity. So that's kind of a nice perk, you know what I'm saying? Very, very nice perk.
It is. Mine's on Swift right now. When it sleeps, it feels really dead. So that is one big hole in how I use it. So.
Oh, that's true. You don't have anything to go in front, right?
Nope.
Wait, I thought if you have it on Swift, if you have it on Swift Will, does it still sleep? It does, right? Because you lose that immunity and you sleep, right?
I don't know. I haven't tried it yet because whenever I go first, I intend to use it to strip on skill 2. So I've always done that.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess, I mean, but there might be situations, right, where you might draft it in and your opponent doesn't have will. You're first to move. Are you really going to strip? Or if you see the opportunity now because it's consistent, you might just, S3 sleep.
This is true. I will say that I don't fight people in RTA nowadays that don't have will. It's like a free win if they don't have will.
Yeah, true,
But
true.
yeah.
Yeah. But you have that option, right, which is nice. So I think keep your eyes out, guys. Oracles have already been very strong because additional damage. This is just another one to add to the list. This is literally
this
just
is
another
a
one.
must. If you don't have it, this is a must.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next one here. Fire Unicorn. Okay, actually, I've heard a couple of these buffs and nerfs and whatnot. I haven't seen all of them in detail. So this one here is the Fire Unicorn, human form. Absorb attack bar by 10% is absorb attack bar by 50%, divided equally from the enemies that are alive. Oh.
Yeah, so this just makes it more oppressive when your opponent loses a unit.
Yeah.
That like right now, like if my opponent has 3 units on the table, I only get 75% attack bar back, I can get cut. Well, now if there's only 3 units left and you take 50% divided by 3, right? That's what 16.67. Much less chance to get cut. So this kind of helps with that problem of getting cut. It's a buff. I mean, but Helena in this meta again, I'm not sure. I mean, there's just so many ways you can counter it with like immunities and things like that.
Right.
So I don't know if this is going to change the weak points of this unit. Too much.
I would say that any player that's using Helena, you're going to have a hard time using it in this meta, like Chris said in RTA. And oftentimes, if you are going to use it, you're picking it probably in like your 5th slot. And if you're picking it in your 5th slot, there's actually a lot more feasible units that kind of do what this unit does, and in that variable, in this category, that probably does the job better. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have to worry about immunity, I'd slap a Rika, I'd slap some other stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? A Dover,
100%.
yeah, Belinus, yeah. I would rather slap those units because they do a little bit more. But this is a fun unit. If you draft it in and you go 50 times, I mean, bro, your opponent is gonna literally throw their phone against the
All
wall.
they need to do is add a strip to this unit, and they would change the whole thing completely.
True. Very true. All right, next unit here. Artmaster. All right, I heard about this one here. Artmaster needed a buff a lot, right? When enemies remove beneficial effects of allies, this effect is added, by the way. When enemies remove the beneficial effects of allies, the attack bar of allies will be... Wait, the attack bar of the ally with removed beneficial effects will be increased by 25%.
So this
Chiwu
is
counter.
This is what I thought the Artmaster was supposed to do when I first read the skills.
Right.
And then I learned it was something else, and I was like, oh, this is crap. But now that I've learned it's like a reverse, it's like an anti-cleave, anti-strip unit.
Yep.
A, it's a nerf to the Chiwu Gainy Hathor stuff. But B, it's like, it makes it a very nice like 4th, 5th pick in my back pocket, where if they Chiwu me, I can run this unit. And since this can be banned, I have to bring in something else that Chiwu is also scared of. So like a triple revenge Verd or something like that, so that they can only ban one of them.
Right.
But this is nice. I wish I had one. I don't.
This is actually really freaking good in my opinion to counter those, because I believe it counters it very effectively, because there's 2 situations, right? Chiwu is going first, and of course you're on immunity, right? If the Chiwu strips you, you will get the attack gauge. There's no if, ands, or but, right? Whereas the Chiwu still has to strip and go through accuracy resistance to reduce you. So even if he reduces you, you're still going to get it all back, right? And if he doesn't, it actually pushes you in front. So that's the scary part. As well as the fact that if it doesn't even strip your will in the first place, you don't get this effect, but you don't really need this effect, right? So it's really good. I feel this is a really, really good counter to Chiwu.
This one scares me in a bit because I use Chiwu a lot. I run Chiwu, Oki, Hathors, and all that stuff. And this is, if I'm not able to consistently outspeed and strip and control you, it makes slow bruiser teams a lot scarier. It makes me have to go through that slow bruiser lineup. So, but hey, they buff Kraken's. Kraken's really good into that. So,
somebody else said in chat as well. Tiana, right? So depending if let's say you get outsped up by Tiana, if they're not tuned, you actually have a chance to kind of cut in, even though the attack bar gauge is going to be different, right? There's some chances.
Sure, but if I'm running a Tiana, like I'm the Tiana user and I see that in draft, I better pivot, right? Like you're not going to lay your cleave out there when you see that. Like you don't have answers to this too.
Right. But this is actually good against every stripper too, even your Wunsa. This does really, really good against your Wunsa as well.
I will say though, like if you are the cleaver, like or the cleave controller, I now need to make sure if I want to be able to not ban this, I probably need to add will to every unit that's controlled. Like Gani needs to have will. It's on Nemesis now. It will need will because if I have the Water Artmaster, when I boost my whatever units get boosted, they need to actually do something too, right?
Right.
So if my opponent's still on will, I may not actually do very much to them. So that's kind of one thing to think about. If I'm the cleaver or the controller, I may need will on everything or more units.
This is gonna be an interesting unit because not only in like because we're thinking about AoE strips, right? I'm thinking in maybe I don't know because this has to be tested, right? In more minute or niche situations where like you're playing double immunity, this is actually not bad, right? Because oftentimes people try to single target strip you, and if you have this on the field, whatever they single target strip, you're gonna cut, right? Let's say it's a Gani Hathor combo, right? Or some kind of combo where it's X and then Gani. They strip, you boost, their Gani doesn't move next. You get to do whatever you're gonna do. Right, let's say Vela Jewel, right? You have it on the field. They're trying to strip you and try to prevent your Vela from doing what he does, right? Like a Hathor or whatnot. It will boost you to go next, so that your Vela can cleanse, maybe, right? So I don't know.
Although the opponent would have to be pretty copper starish to see that and then just choose to strip you anyways.
Right, but I mean that enables you if they're not stripping you, that now enables you to do what you want to do with your comp, right? That's a strength. So I'm saying he might be good as well in those situations.
Definitely a great 4th, 5th pick that'll totally throw a lot of these. That even more makes it so that when you draft, you have to be very careful about what hasn't been drafted and not commit to a direction. Right, you can't just balls out go, I'm going to control you, because that's not going to work.
Right. So this actually prevents single target first turn stripper comps as well. I feel kind of to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 100%. Cool. I think I'm looking out for this Water Artmaster. I think he's a small goat of this balance patch. Okay.
I'm not. I don't want to fight it.
Yeah, it seems kind of gross.
I don't have one.
All right, next one, Wind Artmaster. A lot of people talked about this one here. Decrease attack bar of all enemies by 75%. So I believe this is going to make it a lot more consistent in terms of reducing attack gauge and I believe reducing cooldown. Is that right? I believe that's what the S3 does.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely will. Right now it reduces attack bar by 50, and then if their attack bar goes to 0, you reduce the cooldowns. But the weakness of the Artmaster has always been that it needs your opponent to be off will and its base speed's low. So you need to have a stripper, you need to outspeed. A lot of things got to go your way to use it. So I still don't like the Artmaster, not the Wind one.
Right.
Because you need to have a lot of conditions to make it useful.
True. Yeah, there's still that condition. But for players that were trying to use it before, you can go with ease knowing that it will work better now. So you can test it again and see if you like it. I still prefer Zyros, like if in that slot, right? If I'm going to slot something in, I prefer Zyros. But, I mean, I do understand the attack bar reduction and difference of elements, right? So pros and cons.
Yeah.
Pros and cons.
100%.
All right, and this is the last big hitter right here. Fire Demon.
Yeah.
This is a brand new mechanic into the game. Harmful effect removal block. That's a tongue twister there. Harmful effect removal block.
This is nuts.
So
this is interesting.
If you guys don't know, basically, no elemental disadvantage for the 3rd skill for Fire Demon, as well as he has a new debuff that allows, if you can place the debuff, because this debuff is not guaranteed. It's still going to go through accuracy resistance check, but if you place this debuff, your opponent cannot cleanse or they cannot remove any harmful effects from themselves. So you put this block, and let's say you have defense break there as well, or you follow up with defense break, or even if you do defense break first, or whatever debuffs first or after, your opponent cannot cleanse out of it. So they're stuck in it. What's your thoughts on this? This one's kind of nuts, in my opinion.
Well, it depends on how it's used. So if I use a Lucia to cleanse something with both this and a defense break, so I guess it just blocks it, right? So do I even cleanse the harmful effect removal or not? That's the question I have, right?
No, I don't think it does.
I don't think so. So I think it's super interesting. I think people with double strip up top and fast teams can become very scary with this. Obviously, this is a low base speed, so it is what it is. And it also is kind of weak in the bruiser lineups. If you're fighting a bruiser team or you're fighting lots of ragdolls, and you do have to think about the LDs now that everyone in the world has a ragdoll but me. This is very weak into those types of comps, but very strong if you have a very good control lineup setup. So I could even run this first, run this first, and then have my debuffs come out.
Right. So, I'm actually reading the rest of the effect here, giving us more information, and it says that it does actually cleanse. So if you were to cleanse with your Elucia, it says harmful effect removal block effect. will be removed first,
Right.
even if the monster has multiple harmful effects. So it looks like this debuff is cleansable, but it's like you have to double cleanse, right? So let's say like you cleanse with one unit, you cleanse this, and I guess that means you can cleanse the rest of the debuffs after. So let's say Elucia and then a Fran or something like that, right? You can, if you double cleanse or commit 2 cleanses, it will get rid of all the debuffs, is what it seems like.
Yeah, I think this is going to have to be run in some sort of weird or different types of cleaves. I still don't see it being used in your standard lineups because, again, I can still control this unit. And if I can't control this unit, I generally will have immunity, right? It doesn't strip. This just I need my opponent to not have immunity. So I'll probably be, if you want to think about bringing it into like mollies, particularly mollies, I guess, that is probably something to think about. But Vigor does do pretty well into something like this too. And generally Molly and Vigor go together.
Right.
So you're going to have to be able to enable this, strip your opponent. And this it doesn't provide healing. It doesn't provide attack bar manipulation, really. So I'm on the fence on this one. It's a cool mechanic. I just don't know if this is the way to use it, or this is a way where it's going to become really good, where it's on an AoE third skill with a long cooldown on it.
Right.
I imagine if this was on imagine if, let's say, you took Ganny's skill 1 and gave him that. That would be pretty cool, right? Like that's different. But to put it on something with a long cooldown, it's a pilot. I just don't know, because it's this monster. I don't know how it's going to be used.
I think it's going to be used in a lot of comps that are already very scary. Players with Gianna and players with Nephthys. I think it's going to be used like with those teams, as well as if you read on with it, the main part of the skill is still kind of there, where it inflicts continuous damage based on the damage dealt. So let's say there are some people that run cleave teams, like with Gemini and stuff. If you're running like that kind of cleave team and you're doing this kind of damage, you're also inflicting continuous damage based on the damage you deal, and the continuous damage is unresistible, meaning that it will 100% land, meaning that you're gonna nuke them, they're gonna have dots, and even if your opponent is picking anti-cleave or things that can cleanse, right, they can't cleanse it. So it kind of gets a little bit scary, right? In that aspect.
I guess, but like if I'm running in those situations, why not just bring a Rika, right? Where like if my opponent's afraid of dots and all that stuff. So you really have to like think about, where would I use this over another monster that exists?
Because like a Rika, you would be worried about an Amelia. Whereas this, if you're running the cleave-in with Gemini and you go on it, the Amelia won't do anything. You will still be eating the dots, so you'll still have that defense break and threat. You know, you see what I'm saying? That's just like one situational example where you guarantee dots or whatever other debuffs, because you're usually gonna layer other debuffs as well, right? With this, so
yeah, you're not gonna see too many Amelias out there though. There's gonna be a lot of ways to deal with Amelia. So like I think it's cool. Like it's nice that they're introducing this type of stuff. I just don't know if this is the unit that's gonna be good. Like I don't see this being used consistently in a top 30 RTA meta.
Death Knight Light, skill power, damage increase, change to shield amount increased. Okay. Awakening effects of some monsters. The dark one. Okay, we talked about that already. Wait. Increases accuracy, change to gain a turn instantly if the enemy dies. Okay, I think we read that above, right? Artmaster win, increases crit rate, change to skill strengthen, decrease the defense for 2 turns added. Oh,
what? Okay, hold on.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Whoa, hold up. So now, wait. So now it also defense breaks? I did not read this fully. Countess, why don't I
did not say that above? I swear for Dark Phoenix, it did say it above, right?
Moon drawn from clouds. No, because right now it strips, right, and they have glancing, right?
Oh wait, this is not even from above. This is additional. So Dark Phoenix actually gains additional turns if anything dies.
Dark
so
Phoenix
if you
does gain more turns, yes. If something dies, it gains another turn and keeps.
With S2. Wow. Okay, that's a Dark
Nova.
And that's
also defense breaks. I mean, it is a point, like kind of with the Ludia, if the defense break is applied first and then the damage comes, that's pretty good for those that need to slow clear something, right? And don't have the runes to like fast clear. It's a pretty good unit for that. Still not good generally anywhere else in the game.
Yeah, this is his S2 though. This is the Win Artmaster's S2. So it's a strip defense break is what it is. Yeah, but the damage from S2 shouldn't be that good anyways to begin with. So, I mean...
But dude, Artmaster, I didn't realize skill 2 on the Artmaster now is defense break. On top of skill 3 reducing more, attack bar like that's a buff, but like it's all right. But if you add a defense break on skill 2, pretty good.
Yeah. Could do some
Why
fun
don't
stuff.
I have one of these?
Interesting. I mean, it's more feasible to obtain, right? So you might be able to get it. Fair enough. Yo, Chris, Makeitabud, thank you for taking the time to join me on today's balance patch rundown. I appreciate your expertise on a lot of these, and you know, taking it to the next level and really thinking about how they will be used in RTA and a couple other areas in the game. So appreciate your time, man.
Of course, man. Happy to share my thoughts. And
we'll definitely have to try to get you back in for another podcast, maybe in the future. And we can talk about more further implications once these get, you know, this balance patch goes live and, you know, people start testing things out, right? We'll definitely discuss stuff in the future.
For sure.
All right, if you guys are watching this from YouTube, make sure you guys leave your comments down below. Let me know which one you're most excited for, which units you're most excited for. Leave that like, subscribe to the channel above, turn on the notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next live streamer video. Peace out, YouTube.